In most collisions of two objects, we don't know how much the force changes during this super short time interval. So if we try to solve for values and we use Newton's second law, it gets messy. So instead, we rely on the conservation laws. When there's no external forces acting on a system, then momentum is always conserved. Now let me define something for you. It's called an elastic collision. In perfectly elastic collisions, kinetic energy is always conserved as well. What does that mean? A perfectly elastic collision would mean that there was no kinetic energy lost. So no kinetic energy was turned into heat from friction. No kinetic energy was lost as sound. And this type of collision is nearly impossible in real life. And even though during this super short collision, the kinetic energy can actually turn into elastic potential energy because the objects get compressed slightly. So some of the kinetic energy will turn into elastic potential energy before they bounce off each other. So if you compare the kinetic energy in this system before the collision compared to the kinetic energy after, they are the same because it's conserved. And when this is the case, the collision is elastic. And even when the collision is inelastic, total kinetic energy may not be conserved, but total energy always is, because some kinetic energy might turn into sound or heat, but in total, the energy doesn't change. That's a law of the conservation of energy, which is universal. The conservation of kinetic energy in equation form is this, and don't worry about this. This is simply kinetic energy of two objects before versus after. And this is a really fat equation. But there's a shortcut one that we can derive from this, and I'm not going to go through the derivation. But the equation that you get, that velocity of object A minus velocity of object B is equal to velocity of object B minus velocity of object A after the collision, which we label by priming the quantities with these symbols. This is what we discovered in relative velocity all the way back in 2D kinematics. Another form of this equation is velocity of A minus velocity of B is equal to minus velocity A after minus velocity of B after. This is interesting. That means the relative speed of the two objects are the same regardless of mass, even though it's in an opposite direction. This shortcut equation, when it's applicable, it's much easier than this big fat equation up here because velocity is not squared. That was a lot of math. So let's go through an example to connect this to physics and real life. On a super slippery ice surface, you have two hockey pucks. This is hockey puck A, this is hockey puck B. They have the same mass. B is initially at rest, but A is flying at B with a certain velocity. Following this collision, what is both of their velocities? Okay, let's break this down and set up our problem solving. So these are the two unknowns. These are what we're looking for. Before every energy conservation kind of problem, we have to see what's conserved. Let's just say there's no friction because we're on ice. That means momentum is always conserved. Let's say this is an elastic collision and there's no friction. What is conserved? Well, there's no external forces because even gravity doesn't count because the normal force cancels it out. So momentum is going to be conserved. Kinetic energy is also conserved because this is an elastic collision. And since the masses are equal, then we get to use our special shortcut equation. And we use this because it involves the two unknowns we're looking for. But we can't just go ahead and solve it. When we have two unknowns, we need two independent equations to solve for it. That's like simultaneous equations. So let's get a second equation in here that has the same unknowns. And that second equation is velocity of A plus velocity of B is equal to the velocity of A after and the velocity of B after. Where did we pull this equation from? It doesn't come out of thin air. This is the conservation of kinetic energy, because kinetic energy at the start is equal to kinetic energy after. And we can use that because kinetic energy is conserved in an elastic collision. So now that we have two equations, we can solve for our two unknowns. Let's add these two equations to each other. When you add these two, you get 2VA. Add these two, they cancel out. Now what about the right-hand side of the equation? Let's add the like terms. When you add velocity B to velocity B to velocity B, when you add this velocity A to this velocity A, since it's negative and positive, they cancel out. So we're left with this. Cancel out the 2's, you get velocity A is equal to velocity B after the collision. And why did we choose to add? It actually doesn't matter, because if you subtracted these two equations, you would get this equation. It's very similar. Let's actually use that equation. We know that velocity B is 0, which means that the velocity of the puck A after the collision, it stops. And the initial velocity of this puck is how fast puck B moves after the collision. So they basically swapped speeds. Puck A went from VA to 0, and puck B went from 0 to VA. The energy was transferred, and the total kinetic energy and momentum stays the same. This was a very math-heavy example with no real numbers, a lot of algebra, and you might have gotten a little lost along the way, so let's do a real-life example. So let's go through an example with numbers. Imagine the inside of a particle accelerator, like those super colliders, and a proton inside. Let's draw it like that. It's launched toward a stationary helium nucleus at this speed, which is very fast, but that's how things work inside particle accelerators. The collision is head-on and is perfectly elastic. After the impact, what are the final velocities? And let's say the mass of the proton is equal to 1 atomic mass unit, and the mass of the helium nucleus is 4 atomic mass units. Let's see what we're given before solving the problem. We're given the mass of these two things, of these two particles. And we're also given their velocities initially. The helium nucleus is moving at 0 meters per second, is at rest, stationary. The velocity of the proton, as we know, is this big number here. We're looking for the velocity of the helium nucleus after. Because momentum is conserved, then we can use the conservation of momentum, which says that the momentum of the proton plus the momentum of the helium, which is the total momentum in the system, is equal to the total momentum after. To solve for these values, we need a formula. So let's use the elastic collision formula from last video. And all these formulas, it's very hard to remember them all, so I make a cheat sheet for myself, which you can get for free in the description, and you can choose whatever topic you want. The momentum of the helium particle is 0, because it's stationary, which means that we don't have to consider this. Our equation is simplified to this. Now, where would you take this after? Keep in mind this is what we're looking for. Let's use that shortcut formula. And here we have the velocity of the proton initially. And here's our two missing values. That's what we're looking for. Okay, we need at least one of them to find the other. So let's find the velocity of the proton after. If we rearrange this equation for this value, we get this. We can substitute this in right here. And why would we substitute it into this equation? It's the same thing, because we have two unknowns, but only one equation. And we need a second equation. And we have an opportunity here. We can solve for this. So let's move everything to the other side. And we end up with this formula. The velocity for the helium nucleus after the collision is 2 mpvp over mp plus mhe. And this is another formula in the cheat sheet, because this pops up occasionally. Plug in your values, so the mass of the proton is 1, and then this velocity of the proton. Plug in your other masses, And it's messy, but we get this value. That's how fast the helium nucleus moves after the collision. Now what about the velocity of the proton after the collision? Let's use our formula right here, because that's exactly what it solves for. So velocity of the proton after the collision is this minus the initial velocity, which we already knew from the start. That gives you this, negative 3.6 times 10 to the 5 meters per second. If you noticed, when you put these two together, you get this. The initial velocity of the proton before the collision. So after the collision, there's the same total kinetic energy and momentum. However, it's just been split between these two particles. And because this is negative, that means the proton bounces backwards after the collision, while the helium nucleus gets pushed forward. That makes sense because this proton is quite light compared to the helium. The helium is 4 times heavier. This was a lot of math, and you might be kind of confused on the decision making when it comes to formulas and substitution. But practice makes perfect, and when you practice enough, this becomes natural. If you're interested, go follow me on Instagram. By the way, something that really helps me is having all the formulas you ever need in one place. And I make these cheat sheets for myself, and if you want your own, it's in the description for free. So go sign up.